Stockman. David, the economy is recovering, but at a snail's pace. There are just about by every measurement, it's one of the worst recoveries post-recession of any recession that we've had in the last 100 years. What is it that's holding back the recovery? What are they doing different this time than what you did back in the 1980s?
Well, what's holding back the recovery is 30 years worth of high living, 30 years worth of borrowing, both in the public sector and in the household sector and in business. They got the whole economy so deeply mired in debt that it finally buckled in September 2008. And now we're slowly trying to dig our way out. It's going to take years to liquidate all of the excess that was built into our economy because the consumer was living beyond his means.
Okay, but you and I and our fellow citizens have deleveraged, as they call it, but the government has not deleveraged. They're going the other direction.
Yes, because we have adopted totally the wrong solution. When the economy buckled in the fall of 2008, that wasn't a sign that there was inadequate demand. That was a sign that there had been false demand, that there had been fiat demand, that came out of the ATM machine as households borrowed against their equity wildly, or even out of the huge debt that was created in the business sector from a lot of excess LBOs and so forth. So we responded to the signal the wrong way. The Keynesians, the Washington establishment said, let's go out and have the government borrow because the private sector is going to be torquing back. And that was a big mistake. And it's now only made the problem worse because we have a sovereign debt crisis that's coming right at us in December when we're out of debt ceiling. All of these cans that have been kicked down the road are going to expire. It is going to be a calamity of historic proportions.
Well, you were the first that I know of. You told me on a previous show. I'm going to guess it was around January, and they had just extended the payroll tax again. And you were the first one to raise the red flag and say all these things are going to hit. I saw the number is $494 billion tax increase on January 1st, which most economists say will put as just about guarantee as a double dip recession. Do you agree?
Well, I think it's certain. I mean, a double dip recession is built in, it's baked into the cake as a result of the irresponsible policy making that we've had for years now. And, it's not just the taxes all expiring. You're going to have the sequester hitting because they couldn't actually face the issue down last summer, make some hard choices. They put in this kind of automatic spending cut across the board that now is going to hit. So when you put all that together, it's $750 billion at an annual run rate, because remember, the fiscal year starts in October. So on a full year basis, the impact is the equivalent of $750 billion between spending and tax increases, 5% of GDP. It'll hit the economy like a ton of bricks. And the answer will not be the easy answer of, well, let's just extend all this and get to it another day.
Why not? That's what they've been doing.
Because it will take a massive increase in the debt ceiling, which is already $16.4 trillion, and which last summer got raised just barely on the basis of this compromise that turned out to be a total hoax. So I think it's going to be tough, very tough, to find the votes for huge increases in the national debt, and properly so. And therefore, they're going to be stuck in this triangle of raising the debt, extending the tax cuts, trying to do something about the sequester, and hoping that somehow they can juggle all these balls for another day. But I don't think it's possible. I think the rubber is really going to meet the road probably about Christmas Eve in the lame duck session.
Yeah. We have consumer confidence reports are out. And if you go back and you take a look, consumer confidence took a big drop the last time we got into a debt ceiling argument. I was a little surprised because I don't think that many people were watching Washington fights that closely. I thought it was kind of an inside the beltway argument.
Right.
But they were, and their consumer confidence fell. And there was all the fear about the government can't pay its bills. And remember, Grandma wasn't going to get her Social Security check and everything else. else. So we're going to have that to deal with again, too. So do they raise? What's your advice? Do they raise the debt ceiling a little in return for a real promise to cut somewhere else?
Well, I think that's what's going to happen, unfortunately, and it's just another kick the can exercise. They'll raise it just enough, let's say, to get by through April, so that allegedly the new president, whoever he may be, if he hasn't demanded a recount by then when he sees how bad the problem is, has time to put a plan together. So, but then we'll be at the same point in April where the government's going to shut down, we're out of borrowing capacity, we can't pay the bills, allegedly, and they'll have another crisis sort of moment in which it'll be kicked down the road again for a few months. And that's why our economy is going to be in a permanent state of recession, I think, after 2013 starts, because the government is non-functional. It doesn't have the capacity to put its arms around this problem, and so it's going to be a few months at a time, crisis after crisis. It will undermine consumer confidence, undermine investor confidence, and create, self-fueling downward momentum. This is, unfortunately, heading our way, coming to our neighborhood